The layoffs come among the continued debate over immigration reform in the US, as the temporary work visas are at the center of a fierce debate in Congress. A, what's wrong with A? Came. I mean, the general tense in the context is present tense only, no? Why do you want to change it to came, Amit? So what will you change it to, Atish? Yes, what is the context here? It's saying the layoffs come, what's happening around the layoffs? Continued debate over immigration reform in the US. So, okay, basically, let me put it like this, okay? Answer this to me. Among or amid all the confusion, the real point of the meeting was lost. What will you choose? So I've just given you some example sentences. I want you to think about this. There was a lot of gossip amid the women employees. Pooja was among friends. Stocks fell among concerns of a weakening dollar. Now, tell me what will you choose in 1, 2, 3, 4. No, write 1, 2, 3, 4. Don't just say amid, among. Put the numbers so I'll know which sentence you're talking about. Right? Amid, among, and amid. Now let's look at it, okay? I've taken Surya's responses. So, if you notice, amid all the confusion is countable or uncountable? Uncountable. There was a lot of gossip among women employees. Can you count these guys? Yes, countable. Pooja was among friends. Can you count the friends? Yes. You can also say Pooja was in the midst of friends, which is the same. See, among and amid can give you the same meaning, in the midst of, right? I can either say among friends, I can also say amid friends, but I will go with among because friends are countable. Stocks fell amid concerns. Can you count concerns? Uncountable. So, what I'm basically saying is, good, right? So, ideally, when I'm talking about, usually, the meaning could be the same in a lot of contexts, right? Amid and among can have the same meaning in a lot of contexts, representing surrounded by, or in the midst of, or in the middle of, yes. So, here, in the given context, we're talking about continued debate, right? Debate cannot be countable, it's uncountable. So, I will change among to amid. The layoffs come amid the continued debate over immigration reform in the US as the temporary work. So, in case you are confused, right, there are times when you can interchange these two, no doubt about it. Like in the third example, Pooja was amid friends, Pooja was among friends. Both are correct, grammatically correct, because it gives the same meaning. What you're saying is Pooja was in the midst of her friends. She was surrounded by her friends. Both are correct. But when there is a specific noun which is uncountable, I would rather advise you to use amid and not among. Okay, that's why I put those example sentences, just for you to understand when it is a countable or an uncountable noun, which would you ideally want to go with. Yeah, and like I said, there are exceptions like this where both can mean when you're talking about surrounded by or in the midst of, but I just chose among because I can count the friends. That's about it. See, that's a problem, right, with knowing a lot of things as well, a lot of rules as well. What happens is you start wasting a lot of time looking for errors when you don't need to. So you'll have to, there has to be a fine line, because I can't spend a lot of time on one question, right, looking for errors. The question may not even have an error. So while practicing, maybe you can cultivate that habit. So you get to a point where you don't waste a lot of time in your exam. See, the objective here is, I understand that you might even be learning new concepts even today with respect to spot the error, right? And there are some concepts which you already know, it's just that you haven't applied it in practice continuously, so you tend to overlook it. Errors like, between this and that, and not between this to that, right? So, should we look for errors? I mean, yeah, that's the question. You're spotting the error. You should look for errors, no doubt about that. But you'll also have to know where to draw the line, how much time to spend is what I'm saying with respect to exam. So for explanation's sake, I'm giving you all these concepts, right, for you to understand the logic behind it. Yeah? Spot the error. Read the context. This was a barbaric act, a heinous crime, and there's no place for that in this religion. And if you look at the meaning of Islam, it means peace. So for Islam to be associated with these types of crimes, these murderous acts, it has really shook the whole community. Do you think there is an error in this context? Yeah? What do you guys think? Part 1, a lot of you are saying, okay, in fact, I have all the parts now. I have 1, 3, and 4. 2 also is added. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Basically, you guys are saying all the parts have the error. Let's look at it. This was a barbaric act. Barbaric meaning brutal, animal-like. A heinous crime, again, something that is probably extremely violent. And there's no place for that in this religion. And if you look at the meaning of Islam, it means peace. So for Islam to be associated with these types of crimes, these murderous acts, it has really shook the whole community. So as soon as you read the context, right, one of your clues should be, there is relevance, right? The general tense in the context is what? And if you look at it, some of us have also come back and said no error. I want you to pay attention to part 4. It shook, it has, I need the verb 3. What's the verb 3? Shaken, right? Shake, verb 1, shook, verb 2, shaken, verb 3. But it has relevance to the present also, right? It has really shaken the whole community, not shook. So the error is in part 4, where you change shook to shaken. Are you guys following? That's the part that has the error. So because it has relevance to the present, because of all that has happened, that has affected the community, and they are feeling that effect even now, till the present, right? So it has relevance to the present. It has shaken, present perfect tense. Let's go back. So that's where the error is. And everything else is fine. In fact, this was a barbaric act, a heinous crime. So barbaric and heinous are just adjectives describing act and crime, and there's no place for that in this, and there's no place for that in fact a collocation, right? We've heard people use that in various situations. There's no place for this, or there's no place for that in this religion. If you look at the beginning of Islam, it means peace. So for Islam to be associated with these types of crimes, these murderous acts, it has really shaken the whole community. Not it has really shook. The decline of old-fashioned values such as honesty, tolerance, empathy, compassion, respect, and reciprocity were identified as having damaging consequences for the society. Okay? So tell me, where do you think the error is for this? Then this one, a lot of you are saying option 4. Okay, let me quickly highlight something, right? A lot of you came back and said 4, 4, 4. Now, these consequences are not good for the society, but damaging for the society. That's the context meaning. So, for as a preposition there is absolutely fine. You don't have to make any changes there. Okay? Are you following? Understand what I'm saying? The consequences were not good for the society, but it was bad for the society. Something can be good for somebody, something can be bad for somebody, right? So, in that construction, 4 is fine. So a lot of you came back and said 4 is where the error is, replace 4. No, nothing is wrong there. But if you paid attention to, this is something that you can quickly overlook. Errors pertaining to subject-verb agreement is what I see that most of you overlook. The subject is what here? Can you identify the subject in the context? Anybody? So all these values are having a damaging effect or damaging consequence for the society. The subject is not the values as such, the subject is the decline. Of old-fashioned values is the prepositional phrase, right? Of starts with the preposition of. So the subject is the decline, which is singular represented by the definite article the. So if it's a singular subject,
then I need a singular verb and not where. So I change where to was. That's another thing that all of us make a mistake with. The decline is my subject here. Yes, of old-fashioned values, yeah, it's part of the subject, but the primary subject is the decline. The decline of what? Old-fashioned values. And then they've given example. Honesty, tolerance, empathy, compassion. These are all examples of old-fashioned values, and reciprocity was identified. The decline was identified as having damaging consequences for the society. The subject-verb agreement error, a lot of us tend to overlook this because when we read in the context, what catches our mind is the values, which is plural. And I also have explanation of more than one value there, right? So, just so that people don't get confused, let me subject verb agreement. Okay,